My name is Shabana. I am 55 years old now. When I was 15 years old, my own father looked me in the eyes and told me we were going on a family vacation to Pakistan. I believed him. I packed my favorite jeans, my Walkman, and dreams of coming back with stories to tell my friends. I never came back the same girl. Because that vacation was a lie. He took me there to sell me into a marriage I never agreed to a man 16 years older who would beat me, break me, and almost destroy me completely. This is the story of how my father betrayed me, how I survived 2 years of hell, how I ran with nothing but $38 and a birth certificate, and how I turned all that pain into a life spent fighting for other women so they never have to live what I lived. It was the summer of 1985. Coney Island was alive the way only a Brooklyn summer can be. The boardwalk smelled like fried clams, hot asphalt, coconut sunscreen, and salt. I was sharing the last of a paper cone of curly fries with my friend Gina, leaning on the railing, watching people scream as the parachute jump threw them into the sky and caught them again. Whitney Houston was singing in my ears through cheap headphones. My denim cutoffs were too short, Mom always complained. My white sneakers were already gray from the boardwalk. My chipped blue nail polish was peeling. My hair was sticky with sea air and sweat. 15 years old. Loud laugh, tall for my age, convinced the whole world was still waiting for me to grab it. That afternoon, I walked home smelling like the ocean and Greece. Our apartment was small, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, walls so thin you could hear the neighbors fighting in Spanish and Russian at the same time. Mom was in the kitchen frying onions. She gave me the tired half smile she used when she was exhausted but didn't want to admit it. "Go wash up," she said. "Your father will be home soon." I showered, changed into a clean t-shirt, flocked on the couch with a borrowed Tiger Beat magazine. Dad came in around 7. Muhammad Ali, everyone just called him Ali, looked smaller than usual. Shoulders hunched, eyes tired in a way I hadn't really noticed before. He didn't take off his shoes right away like he always did. He just stood in the doorway, looking at me. "We're going to Pakistan," he said. I laughed. "What, like a vacation?" He didn't smile. "Yes, family vacation. 2 months. You'll see your grandparents, your cousins, the village. It's time you knew where you come from." I got excited, really excited. I had never been. Pakistan existed in my head as colorful weddings on grainy VHS tapes, mangoes sweeter than anything sold in Brooklyn, rickshaws, glass bangles that jingled when you moved your wrist. I pictured myself taking photos to show Gina, buying stories I could tell forever. I started packing that same night. Acid-wash jeans, Madonna cassette, a little spiral notebook where I wrote bad poems I never showed anyone, the birth certificate Dad always said to carry when traveling, the thin gold bracelet my grandmother sent when I turned 10. Mom helped me fold clothes. Her hands were shaking just a little. I asked if she was okay. She said, "It's a long trip, that's all." I believed her. July 12th, 1985. JFK was loud, crowded, smelled like burnt coffee and perfume samples. New white sneakers, small denim backpack, window seat on the plane. I pressed my forehead against the glass and watched New York disappear under clouds. I didn't know I was watching my childhood disappear with it. Lahore hit like a wall of heat and dust. The airport smelled of diesel, frying pakoras, sweat. Dad's younger brother, Uncle Rashid, picked us up in a scratched Toyota Corolla. He hugged Dad hard, kissed Mom's hand, looked at me for 2 seconds and said, "She's grown." That was it. No hotel. He drove us straight out of the city on a road that got narrower and dustier with every mile. Goats wandered across the path. Children in school uniforms walked barefoot. No billboards, no traffic lights, just heat pressing down and flat land stretching forever. The house was big but old. High walls, cracked courtyard, dried-up fountain, rooms with metal beds and ceiling fans that only moved hot air around. My grandmother, Dottie, cried when she saw me, held my face between her hands, spoke fast Punjabi I only half understood. My grandfather barely looked up from his newspaper. That first night we ate sitting on the floor in the courtyard. Rice, lentils, okra cooked in too much oil. The food felt heavy and wrong in my throat. After dinner, Dad asked me to come inside. Mom followed. They sat me on a wooden chair in the living room. The fan spun slowly above us. A lizard ran across the wall. Dad spoke first. "Shabana," he said, "you are getting married." I laughed, a nervous, sharp sound. I thought it was a bad joke. He didn't smile. "Yes, next week, to your cousin Abdul Malik, my brother's oldest son. He's 31, good job in Lahore, respectable family. This is the right thing." My fork fell. It made a small clink against the plate. "Dad, I'm 15. I'm in 10th grade. I want to finish high school. I want college. I want to be a pediatrician." His voice went flat. "This is our culture. You obey." I looked at Mom. She was staring at her hands, twisting the edge of her dupatta so hard the fabric turned white. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Mom," I whispered. "Mom, say something." She whispered, "It's for the best, beta." Betrayal hit like a wave crashing on the Coney Island shore. The people who were supposed to protect me had just handed me over. I stood up. My legs felt liquid. No, I'm not doing this. I'm going home." Dad's hand came down on my shoulder, not hard enough to bruise yet, but hard enough to force me back into the chair. "You will not shame this family," he said. "You will do what is expected." I started crying, loud, ugly crying that hurt my throat. I begged. I screamed. I said I would run away, call the American embassy, tell everyone what they were doing. Dad slapped me, open palm, across the cheek. The sound echoed in the small room. My ear rang. My face burned. That was the first time he ever hit me. The wedding was fast and joyless. A rented red lenga that was too big for me, heavy gold-embroidered dupatta pressing into my collarbones, mehndi painted on my hands and feet the night before, beautiful patterns that felt like prison bars. The morning of the ceremony, women I didn't know pinned flowers in my hair, rubbed rouge on my cheeks. I looked like a doll in the mirror. I felt like a corpse. The nikah happened in the courtyard. 30 or 40 people, mostly men. A mullah with a Quran. Abdul Malik sat across from me. Tall, thick shoulders, sharp jaw, neat beard, cream sherwani, expensive watch. He smiled for the guests. When no one was watching, his eyes moved over me like I was property being priced. They asked if I accepted him. My voice was so quiet the mullah asked me to repeat it. I said yes because everyone was watching, and my father was standing 2 feet away with his arms folded. Papers signed, ring on my finger, garland around my neck, rose petals thrown. People clapped. I didn't smile. That same evening, they took me to Abdul's parents' house in a crowded part of Lahore. 3 stories, narrow stairs, constant noise, traffic, neighbors yelling, peacocks screaming on rooftops. My new mother-in-law met me at the door. She looked me up and down like I was defective. "American girl," she said. We'll see how long that lasts. The first week was quiet terror. Abdul worked long hours at a fabric export company. He came home late, ate silently, then expected me in the bedroom. The first night I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. He didn't explain. He just took. It hurt. I cried quietly into the pillow. He told me to stop making noise. Afterward, he rolled over and slept. I stared at the ceiling fan turning slowly, counting the blades until the numbers stopped meaning anything. The violence started small. A shove when dinner was 5 minutes late, a slap when I asked why he never spoke to me during the day, a fist to the ribs when I cried too loudly one night. He never yelled in front of his parents. He saved the worst for when we were alone. "You're mine now," he'd hiss. "Forget that American trash." His mother was crueler in a different way. She accidentally burned my arm with hot oil while teaching me to cook. She hid my sanitary pads and mocked me when I bled through my clothes. She told everyone I was half mad because I talked to myself sometimes. Really, I was whispering English songs to keep my mind from cracking. I started disappearing inside my own head. I stopped eating much. My periods became irregular from stress and hunger. I lost so much weight my collarbones looked like blades. I scratched my arms until they bled, just to feel something I could control. Abdul called it attention-seeking. His mother called it jinn possession. They took me to a faith healer who burned incense and beat my back with a peacock feather. I didn't scream. I just went somewhere else, back to Coney Island, back to the sound of waves. One night, maybe 8 months in, I found out I was pregnant. I was happy for about 12 hours. Then Abdul hit me so hard in the stomach I doubled over and tasted blood. He said he didn't want a child yet, that I would ruin my figure, that I was too weak to carry anything. 2 days later, I miscarried on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m, bright red against white tile. I cleaned it up myself so no one would see. I didn't cry. Something had broken so deep inside that tears wouldn't come anymore. That was when I knew I had to leave, or I would die there. I started planning in secret. Every day I watched. I learned the rhythms of the house. Abdul left at 7:30 a.m. His father left at 8:15. His mother usually napped between 1 and 3 after lunch. The back gate creaked but wasn't locked during the day. The neighbor's boy, Bilal, 16 and sweet, sometimes ran errands. He liked American music. I gave him my last Whitney Houston cassette in exchange for small favors, buying a bus ticket booklet, hiding a cloth pouch under his bicycle seat. I had no passport. Dad had taken it the day we arrived, but I still had my American birth certificate folded inside an old purse. I had memorized the address of the U.S. consulate in Lahore. I had $38 hidden inside the hem of an old skirt, stolen 5 rupees at a time over 6 months. The day I ran was a Tuesday in late 1987. I was 17. I waited until Amiji went to nap. I wore the plainest shalwar kameez I owned, dupatta over my head, flat chappals. I carried nothing but the birth certificate, the $38, and the small photo of me at 16 in front of the cyclone. I walked out the back gate. No one saw me. I walked 40 minutes to the main road. A minibus stopped. I climbed in, heart pounding. I asked for the general bus stand. The driver nodded without looking twice. At the bus station, I bought the cheapest ticket to Islamabad. 8 hours. I sat by the window and watched Lahore disappear. Every stop I expected someone to drag me off. No one did. In Islamabad, I went straight to the U.S. Embassy. I sobbed to the Marine Guard. "I'm American. They forced me." It took weeks, papers, interviews, but they got me an emergency passport and a flight home. I landed at JFK on a freezing December morning in 1987. I kissed the ground. I was free, but shattered. Dad tried to apologize weeks later. Flowers, excuses about tradition.
I told him through the closed door that if he ever came near me again, I would call the police. Mom wrote letters for years begging forgiveness. I never answered. I was broken for a long time. Nightmares, panic attacks, scars on my arms from scratching, therapy when I could afford it. I worked nights at a diner, saved every penny, started community college at 21. I graduated Hunter College at 26, law school at 30, passed the bar on my second try. Today, I'm a human rights lawyer in New York. I fight for women trapped in forced marriages, domestic violence, immigration abuse. I've helped over 200 girls and women escape. I don't forgive my father. I don't forgive Abdul Malik. I don't forgive the mother-in-law who burns me and called me mad. I don't forgive the system that told a child her dreams didn't matter. But I turned that betrayal into purpose. If you're listening and you feel trapped, hear me. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not alone. You can still get out. I did, and I'm still here, living loud, fighting hard, making sure no girl ever feels as powerless as I once did.